So hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel. Welcome to how do you fit the mediumship into your life. So how do you fit your mediumship into your life, right? And what we're actually doing with mediumship is we use it in so many ways, and it opens up our sensitivity. And when you think about it, a lot of people may think, I would really like to live a spiritual life. I would really like to be spiritual with my mediumship. And what I find is a lot of people would have problems like, how do you integrate your sensitivity into your lifetime? How do you integrate your sensitivity into what you do? And I found, like, when I was working as a in different companies before I went full time as a medium, it was like, yeah, the you can be really in tune with the spirit world, really in tune with your sensitivity and spirituality, and you can be really in tune with other people and be well aware and empathic, right? But you'd have this like, how do you hold that empathicness and that compassion, even though things around you aren't at the same vibration as what you are? So you may be having experiences within your lifetime that, yeah, okay, you're following a spiritual path. Yes, you're doing your mediumship, you're unfolding, you have your sensitivity, and you certainly have this ability to understand how other people are feeling and how they're getting along. And you're trying to keep this flow of resonance of spiritual side of yourself within your lifetime. And I always say you are born in the right place at the right time. So if you're born in Holland, then everything that happens in Holland, whether it's feels like it's karmic for that area, everything that happens in Holland, all the heritage there, everything that there is it has to do with the foundation of who you are, but also the foundation of your mediumship. So if you're say born in Holland or you're born in Canada, everything that's happened in Canada before you were there, whatever's there, whatever heritage, whatever's been there, whatever you've learned in your young age, has to do with the foundation of your mediumship. So you may want to move and go to a retreat and sit in meditation and think this is the fast track to finding your balance within your spirituality or within your mediumship. But really, you're born in the right place at the right time right now. So if you're born in Holland, or you're born in Edinburgh, or you're born in Canada, or wherever you're born in the world, that place where you're born, that heritage, that's the stuff that you are made of. So if you were born in Holland, you'd know about, Holland is known as a good trading land. So they trade, they do a lot of trading, they do a lot of trading with other countries. It's also a land that has a lot of fisheries, and it has a lot of marketing and that sort of thing. And it's a very dynamic marketing, new thinking sort of a land, right? And that culture, where you're brought up in it, and it's hectic in Holland, so it's a lot of busyness, a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people say, like, how can I fit all this into my busy life, right? And what I'd say, you're there for a reason, because your light, what you are, your wisdom, you're born in that place for a reason, and you're born to bring that to wherever you're working in. So if you're working in a certain place and you say, well, I have this spiritual light, I have this spiritual resonance, I have this spiritual thing within inside of me, and I'd like to continue developing that, you may feel that you're not developing because of you're trying to fit it in with your work life, or you're trying to fit it in with your family life or that, but you will find that you are actually in the right place at the right time. Like, the best thing for you is to deal with life, to deal with relationships, to deal with colleagues, because that is what I call the instant karma moments. Instant karma moments is when you find someone that's a colleague, or you find someone that's in a relationship, or you find someone that happens, or a situation that happens, and suddenly it's like, whoa, this really, took me out of my vibration. Well, it's come at the right time, because then it's a time for you to look at the things in you, what needs to be changed, to keep yourself in alignment with your true purpose. It's like when you choose mediumship, you choose a path of like, this is the mediumship path I want to take. I want to develop. I want to do this. I want to be the best of my ability. I want to be there for other people. But if you want to be there for other people, you need to understand many, 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 many people. So if you're born in Holland, you need to understand the heritage of Holland. You understand the different types of people. You need to understand different types of people's problems. And if you don't have these problems arising within your lifetime, then how can you then connect and bring through information that's needed? So you need these moments of shake up. You need these moments of wake up, like these wake up moments. That's going on a lot in Holland at the moment, that wake up. But it is because it's shaking you up. It's waking you up into that reality of, okay, you can make some change within inside of yourself, which can ultimately make change within people that come to see you as clients in the future. So you're born in the right place at the right time, and your heritage. So if you think about it, born in a busy place like Holland, it feels a bit, sometimes it can feel claustrophobic, sometimes it has other, in that way you can understand the things and what's going on in the things in Holland, but you can understand that within inside of yourself. So when you feel that you're living in two worlds, like you're living in a spiritual world, you're doing your mediumship, but you're also living in the world of work or family or trying to fit things all together, and that can be like, how do I keep these scales in alignment? And finding the balance is what you were put here to do. So if you're born in a place where you find yourself in this situation, like living in Holland or living in Canada or living in Scotland, wherever you're born, whatever you're confronted with, that means you are there to find the balance within that alignment. And that will be your wisdom, and that will be your truth that you can share with your clients in the future. And that will be your wisdom and what you can bring to your area, because your heritage is the power of who you are. It's a part of the power of who you are. It doesn't define you. You can change and you can move forward, but it is a stable basis that holds you in alignment with the place that you live. Because every place that you live, whether you're in Holland, Canada, or Scotland or wherever, it has a different frequency. It has a different frequency. The people have a different frequency. The land has a different frequency. And when you think about Canada would also have a heritage. It would also have things that they'd have to work on and work in alignment with that. And what goes on there that is becoming the bridge between that and your mediumship. So it's you become the bridge, and finding the balance is realizing that you are the bridge. So if you're liking what I'm saying, please give us a like. If you'd like to write a comment or ask me questions about this, please feel free to do that in the comments here. It's lovely to have you all with me, and I really enjoy connecting in this way. So going back to Canada, yeah, the heritage there, what does that place energetically given you, and what is the heritage that's energetically given you, right? That has something to do with who you are, and what you can bring to the place that you live in. Now, I know, I mean, I worked many years, I worked in a job, and I did my mediumship on the side. So I had to find the balance between the two. And there's a lot of people that sit in the same situation. Either they've got family, or they've got children, or they've got, they've got work. And to balance it all, the key is, how do you integrate it within your life, and how do you balance it? Well, when you realize you're in the right space at the right time, and I've worked in some places where people weren't very positive, and then that would get my sensitivity down. So in that, why was I there? I was there to bring the positivity and the light at that moment in time in that place. So wherever you are, whatever job you're in, wherever you're placed, it's for you to bring your wisdom, your knowledge, your light to whatever place you're in, and to find that balance. So please give me a like if you're enjoying this, and write your questions down. Let me know what you think. It's good to have a bit of conversation about it. But you see, that's what it is. It's like we sometimes we can get frustrated because we think, yeah, we've got our spiritual life, right? The spiritual life, we want to develop our mediumship skills, and we want to be really, like, moving along vibrationally, qualitatively, and we want to be moving into the next, we want to be in that spiritual vibration. But when we come to our work, or we come to our families, or we come to situations, it can feel like it's knocking us out of alignment, and it's not knocking us out of alignment. It's waking us up to the point that, hey, these people think differently to me, or this situation is different than me, or the thing that's going on in the world is different to me, or my family are different to me. And in that way, it shows you a part of your uniqueness. And what makes you unique, you can only find that when you can see the difference between you and others, but also, the similarities that you can have in those things as well. Because sometimes you can be in a work situation or in a family situation where your voice can't be heard, but you can bring it in a gentle way. And bringing it in a gentle way, that itself is what's needed. And like I said, I mean, I always felt, so when we do this work, sometimes we feel that we're being drawn spiritually to do it, and we have to do it, and doing it full time will be the change of it. That will make everything right. And it can, like, feel like that's where you're going, and then you can get a little bit frustrated, like, oh, but I've still got to do this work, or I've still got to finish this, or I've got to complete these things within my lifetime before I can move on into my mediumship. But when you realize that everything you're doing right now is in alignment with who you are, and everything that you're going through is in alignment with who you are, because it's teaching you something. It's teaching you patience. It's teaching you to look at yourself, reflect at yourself, and also to build up the reference within inside of yourself, so that when you are ready to stand on your own 2 feet, or you are ready to move on to becoming full-time medium, or maybe you're going to fall up, maybe you'll be part-time, or whatever, it'll be the next step. It unfolds when you complete that within inside of yourself. So whatever life is throwing at you, work-wise or anything like that. But when I go back to those moments in my work years ago, when I was like balancing between the two, it was like, oh God, I'd really like to be, I love doing the one, and the other one doesn't give me energy. Or I like this work, but this work doesn't give me energy. My normal work, well, what used to be normal, now this is normal for me. And really, I had to really look at what the gift was. What is the gift that this situation is presenting? Because when you think about it, everyone's unique. Everyone has a different opinion, and whatever place you're put in, everyone will either feel that they're in alignment with you or out of alignment with you. And if people are out of alignment with you, it means that there's something to learn for them, but also for you. It doesn't mean that you're better or different. Well, obviously different, but it just means that there's a moment of to learn, and those moments, we can use them to learn from spiritually, but also learn for our mediumship and capabilities and things. Because at the end of the day, if you ask most people on the work floor or in life, or you're walking down the street, and you say, how are you doing? And they'll be like, oh yeah, fine. And I think you ask most people, they'll say they're fine. And really, people that have learned mediumship or are sensitive can pick up, well, there's a bit more than that. They're not. So the empathy comes in, right? And to be empathic in whatever job you're doing can be really good, to help other people. So you can help guide people in a nice way. Like, you might be able to say the right words that are needed for somebody at that moment of time, to make a decision that can have a positive impact on their life. And if you weren't empathic and you weren't sensitive and you didn't pick up these things, then you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's another way that you can integrate your gifts into your work. Now, I used to work as a male in the male nursing in the nursing profession, and I used to work as a sort of male nurse. I don't know how to put it in another way, but Um, and in that way, you could feel. I worked with people with Alzheimer's and dementia, but they couldn't speak, but I could feel what they needed because they couldn't find the words themselves. And that's how the sensitivity and the empathic abilities can be used within work. So if you're working with different people, or you have to work with your family. I mean, even with my kids, I mean, I use my empathic abilities, not that I wanted to, but it is because my empathic abilities were open. So if you're enjoying this, please give me a like right now, and feel free to follow me again, and subscribe to my channel. But when you think about it, like even your kids will be like, "How you doing?" "Oh, fine." And you feel, "Oh, there's something wrong." Then you can open a conversation that can help them to the next level, or you can open a conversation with colleagues and friends that can help you to the next level. Um, Thanks, Jason, for your presentation. Everything is possible if you allow it yourself. Do it even if you have a busy job. Go for it. It's now the right time. We are on our way where we want to be. Exactly, Peter. That's exactly what it is. And it is because sometimes we can feel that our jobs are so busy, there's no way of integrating this, or finding the balance. And really, you're there for a reason. It's like in the darkest spaces, that's where the most light is needed. And if that means that you are there, then you are needed. That resonance of who you are, if you see yourself as a frequency, and you're in a place where people are feeling not so happy, then that means you're there to bring a bit of light or a bit of happiness to that place. And you can bring that with your words, you can bring that with your wisdom, you can bring that with showing people a different way of doing things. Because and that's where I find that within workspaces we can move, like management, into like what I call spiritual management. But it sounds a bit high, but it's not. It's like, when you look at it, like, what do the people need? We're in a workspace. What do they need? They need to feel, every single person on the planet needs to feel that they're needed, and every single person on the planet needs to feel that they're cared for. So if you can make people feel that they're cared for, in your area and in that thing, if you're a manager or you've got a team or something like that, when you do, you'll find that they'll be happier, they'll have less stress, just because you're giving the acknowledgement that they are good enough. And that, in itself, when you look at that, what we really need to do is work from the bottom of the tray, working up to management. And if you do it that way, what do they need? What do they need? And in that way, it's like acknowledgement. So when you can look at that, and you can look at that, I've found there have been some research on this. The more that people feel happier, and if they even they did in some countries, they cut the hours back by about 20, and they let them only work 20 hours instead of 40 hours. And in doing that, what happened? Productivity went forward. And the reason productivity went forward, people were happier, right? So it's like, if you can bring positivity to whatever space you're in your lifetime, if you can use your gifts in any way, within your workspace, within your lifetime, within your family, and becoming the listening ear. Because a lot of us really, and doing mediumship, we want to be the speaker, right? Someone sharing the wisdom. But sometimes just you being there, being the listener and understanding, is what's needed at that moment in time. And I find that the person that listens the most, you hear the most wisdom from the most amazing people. um, I used to live in London, and I've met, people that, were on the street. I've met people that are busking. I've met people from all walks of life. And I found that every single person I've met has a piece of wisdom they can share if you listen. So, if you're enjoying what I'm saying, give us a like. If you want to ask me a question, put the question in there. But it's like, how do you move your mediumship into your work. And I know some people will be like, I'd like to shift it now, I'd like to become full-time, I'd like to become this. And I say, yeah, it's great to become full-time, to live your dream and do that, but it's still, you've got to still think about you. Then you've got to shift into being self-sufficient. You've got to shift into thinking about a lot of other things. But I know, and that's what I liked about working in the nursing and in that way and with people, was you can bring it to the work floor, which means you can work with people and inspire them in the workplace. And there's nothing wrong with being a part-time medium, because that, a lot of people, when you think about it, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's going to be the answer, or being spiritual 100% all the time is going to be the answer. But it's actually not, because the answer is you know where you are now. Every problem that you can resolve right now in whatever relationship you're in, you won't need to carry it forward to the next relationship. Whatever you can resolve now within your workspace right now, you're not going to carry that on to your next job. So whatever's coming into alignment with you right now, to look within yourself and reflect within yourself. All right, what do I need to change within myself? The one thing I loved about working in the nursing profession, we were taught to reflect, like, what had taken place, what had people said, what had happened, and look at it and see, what does that have to do with yourself? Does there need to be something changed? And when you look at that, you'll find there is things to be changed. You'll be like, oh, I could actually bring that in a different way, or I could bring this in a different way. The biggest problem in workspaces and in families and anything, in relationships, anything, is communication. The only biggest thing that goes wrong is communication. So if we can't understand people in this world, how are we going to understand people in the spirit world? And that's the thing, you see. It's like connecting to as many different people as possible, and understanding as many different people as possible. And really, once we can understand them, then we can understand that part of ourselves. Because in every person, whether you like them or you don't like them, there's something there that we can learn from. There's something there that, that we can learn from about ourselves. So feel free to write something in here if you can, or send me a question, or give me a like if you're enjoying what's being said. So, and that's the thing, because I've noticed in sometimes, people are like, oh yeah, I just want to hang out with my crowd because they really complete me, and that's really good. Because if you hang out with your group, your crowd, your people, they understand you, and you hang out with them all the time, then what you're doing is you're hanging out in a place that is good for your growth, but not as much as it will be good if you were going to bring it into a workspace or into family or into people that don't agree with what you're actually doing. Because I mean, there's many people that wouldn't agree. They'll be like, oh, mediumship, I don't believe in that. And I'm like, they're entitled to their opinion, and that's what I feel. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. In my experience, I have a totally different experience within my lifetime, and my experience makes me a believer time and time again. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. So it's like, once you can mix and communicate with totally different people in different areas of life, that's what creates the bridge between the mediumship world, the spiritual world, and life. And when I said that we're all born in the right place at the right time at the right moment, and even if it's difficult, or even if it's hard, or even if it's a rough patches, we're there for a reason. We're there to be the bridge. And if we're that bridge, right, then we're connecting. We're connecting spirituality, we're connecting mediumship, we're connecting it to wherever we are. So we've got a lovely having empathy is so important, less judgy and more understanding of both friends and strangers. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing, you see. It's knowing that when we're in judgment, we're separating ourselves from from life experience. And wisdom comes from life experience. We think about it. The greatest growth that most people have had, and especially when you look back on history, the greatest growth has happened in moments where we've had to go through struggle, we've had to go through problems, we've had to work it out, and we may have thought that we're not moving forward within our development, and we really are. The biggest development that we make are in those moments when we're going through the struggle, when we're going through the difficult times, and when we're moving forward through them. And that, looking at that within our lifetime now, looking at that back in history, when you think about 2 world wars that we've been through, the greatest leap for spiritualism was in those 2 world wars. And the greatest change within that believing in mediumship was in those 2 world wars, because there was a need, and that need arose that needed to be fulfilled. There needed to be some healing brought through, and some also connection from the spirit brought through within those 2 world wars that really needed to be brought to people. And that's why I say there was so much growth within mediumship and spirituality within that time, because of what was going on. And now we have like what's going on in this lifetime right now. And I know there's some of us who say, well, I wish it was over already. But there is so much growth going on right now within inside of you and the movement in your mediumship, and with the spirit world as well. There's so much growth going on, unless you take the time to look for it and to see it, we won't perceive it, because there's becoming again the need that needs to be fulfilled, the need, and also that part of healing, because I believe that mediumship also has a part of healing, because once you bring through that message, and that message has been touched by spirit, and you bring that through, that can ignite the spark in somebody's soul that's needed at that moment in time. And it happens though in those moments when you're in the flow, and then suddenly that just happens. And when I think about it, they say that when people go to a demonstration of mediumship, and only a few people get the message, but within the message that's being given, in the frequency of what's coming through, a whole congregation can sometimes feel that message, and that spark of frequency that goes through the message can really touch more than one person's soul at a time. And that's the power of what demonstrating mediumship can do. And it's amazing when you can be in a congregation at that time and observe it, or even if you're the medium yourself, and you can find that moment. But what we do, whether it's on in demonstrating mediumship, or whether it's even one-to-one sittings that we do, that in the moment of flow, that's when the most healing can take place, and the most people's souls can be touched, and that can be just what's needed to move them into the next thing. And that's what happened in many times, like I said before, in these difficult times. So wherever you're born right now, whatever you're going through right now, you're totally in alignment with where you should be right now. And this moment, whatever comes up for you, this is like, when you think about it, it's like, how do you fit this in? It's like, oh, yesterday I was so spiritual, and then there's all this going on in our lifetime. But when you think about it, we're all going through it. So if we're all going through it, right, we're all going through this awakening in some way, and an understanding of like, okay, how do we deal with this? This is what we should be sharing with each other, how to deal with it, because that is the need. There's more and more people needing to be looked at with not in judgment, but in compassion. And when you feel like, what would the divine do when they look at us, and what we're doing in these times? They don't judge us. They look at us in compassion, and they hold space in compassion for us to become that best possible vibration of who we can be. And that is the progression of your soul, the progression of who you are at this moment in time. And if we can become that for other people, then again we become the bridge. Again, we become the bridge where we can be in acceptance of other people, no matter what, what they're going through, those sort of things, because then we become that. Then we're not in judgment. And when you're in judgment, you don't set yourself free. You become a part of the problem, really. But when you let go of judgment and you become in the acceptance of, okay, everyone has, because I'm sure you'll agree with me, everyone has their own life, their own lifespan. They have their own choices in life. They make their own choices. They find their own way. They have their own way of dealing with things, their own progression within life, and everyone's entitled to it. So when we can release to the fact that there is some, divine energy where all things evolve around. When you think about the planets and the stars and how they're not colliding, they're moving around, they're holding the earth and on its axis, and it's moving around, and everything, life itself, is held in the balance of an unseen energy that holds it in the space. I ask myself, do you not think they know what's going on? Do you not think that this is a global progression that's happening right now? So what can you do within your mediumship right now? Become the bridge. Hold people in compassion. Share that compassion, that knowledge with each other. Become that light in whatever place you are put on in this planet, and share that, with the people that that you hold dear to you, but also the people that are friends and colleagues. And in that way, we can make things a little brighter and a little lighter. So even if you can't work full time, you certainly are unique enough to become the bridge. And the bridge of what I said, when a medium brings through the message that has a frequency that can touch people's souls and change their lives, you can do that in your workspace. You can do that in your family. You can do that wherever you want to be. But it's only that shift in your own consciousness to learn to believe, even though there's all this stuff going on around you, you have an essence within inside of you that is divine, and that essence can create positive change within your life, within other people's lives. And all you need to do is open up to that special sparkle that you were born with, and let that come out into this world. And that sparkle is the ingredient that's needed exactly where you were born, exactly where you're living right now, exactly in this situation right now. That is what's needed. You see, the unique you, that essence is what's needed, because that's the remedy. And when you think about moving vibration, like if we saw each other as crystals, when you move a crystal from one space to another, it changes vibrationally, and you would see the energy changing around it when you move it around. We all have a vibrational quality about us. So whenever we move ourselves to a different place on this earth or in this space, it changes the vibrational value of its surroundings. So become aware of that. Sometimes not everything is in words that you say, but it's just in the presence of who you are. And when you can share that presence of who you are, that vibrational quality can be lifted wherever you are, under whatever circumstances, in whatever place. And when you sit in compassion, empathy, compassion, and you think about unconditional love, then that frequency is going to create positive change, and that positive change is what's really needed. So yeah, what can your mediumship do in your lifetime, and how can you put it in, move it into your lifetime? And I know we can look at the end goal and said, oh, I'd like to be full-time, or I'd like to be this, I'd like to be moving more in spiritual circles. I'd say don't just move in spiritual circles, move in other circles as well, because the other circles need the light just as much as we do. And if we were all to sit in one space, enlightening each other that are all like minds, we wouldn't be doing very much work, would we? Because really we need to bring that light to everyone, because there's nobody on this planet that doesn't need that light, that wisdom, that moment of space, that moment of clarity. And that's the ability we have to do as mediums. And it's not just, the psychic contact we do, and it's not just the tarot cards, it's not just the mediumship, it's not just the demonstrating, it's not just the private sittings. It's your presence of who you are. And the presence of who you are, that can bring about change. That can bring about a big change in this world. You just need to be there, and you just need to show up, and you just need to have that reality check with yourself. Like, the end of the day, you'll agree with me, nobody's perfect, right? So if we're not sitting in judgment and we're sitting in acceptance, we'd be raising the frequency just like that, and we'd be raising the bar in the space that we're in. So if you like what I've said, please give me a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please do. There's many other videos on here that you can watch, and I do come on every week. Only next week will be the last week before I take my holiday. So I'm going to be on next week at the same time at 5 o'clock, and I look forward to seeing you all there. I hope you've enjoyed the live. Please feel free to give me a like, and feel free to write your comments. And it's been lovely communicating with you and sharing. So wish you all a wonderful day. I'm going to try and get a bit of light on my face here, and I'm just going to wish you all a wonderful day, and it's been lovely communicating with you. Have a fantastic day, and do feel free to share this with anyone that you like. Thank you. Bye-bye.